Hi, morning. It's good to breathe. So we are at Friday. We've made it through another week. And again, I want to start talking about the mind, the thing that's running the show for us. And and take a good look at kind of what we're putting into it. The old cliche about computers is garbage in, garbage out. That cliche is also totally applicable to what we're doing with this. So I'm using another piece of Rick Hanson's, who I've talked about before, and to share a screen here, which we've also talked about before. And we have to click on that and click on that, and there we go. So mind the mind. We have to pay attention to what we're thinking. And we've used the word metacognition a few times, and really that's what it is paying attention to what you're thinking. And remember that how you are feeling is totally based on how you're looking at things, how you're paying attention to things. Uh, the quote is, don't be pushed around by the fears in your mind, be led by the dreams in your heart. So think about what you want, what you want for yourself, how you want to feel, and work on the thoughts that are going to help you create that. So, like I said, this is Rick Hanson's work, which I'm borrowing, stealing, co-opting, whatever word you want to use. Because one of the things that I've learned is that I need to keep learning stuff. I need to continually try and expand my mind so that it's busy, active, and engaged on important stuff. He says our powerful brains allow us to imagine and evaluate different scenarios in the past and future. But when we shift our attention to the present, our minds can quiet down. So thinking about the past pulls us out of the present. Now, if we're thinking about something negative in the past, that will recreate a negative feeling that we had around that. If we think about something positive in the past, uh, that does the same thing. That can generate a positive feeling, but again, it isn't really happening right now. Thinking about the future almost always starts to create anxiety because we don't know exactly what things are going to happen, how things are going to be, and that can start to create some anxiety. So the four things that I've talked about a lot are patience, tolerance, kindness, and love. Patience is accepting things as they are. So I know I've been talking to a few people, like it was windy all week and people were grumbling about the wind. You know what? It's windy. Deal with it. Dress warmer, stay out of the wind, find some shade, find some shelter. Uh, we can adapt. Tolerance is accepting people as they are. Kindness is being kind. And that love piece is finding the beauty in whatever thing or person it is that you're interacting with. So again, this is Rick Hanson stuff. The more a person's mind wanders, the more it tends to tilt negatively towards anxiety, resentment, regret, and self-criticism. We've talked about negativity bias before. Our minds are geared to look at negative stuff. Uh, 10,000 generations ago, that was protective. It kept us from being eaten by other creatures. Now we don't need that as much as we did then, but it's still very strong. So we have to counter that. We have to pay attention to it. So accepting yourself will help you feel whole, and feeling whole will help you accept yourself. We had an hour-long meeting this morning on acceptance. And that is a really critical piece for everything. You know, if we're always hypercritical of ourselves, or if we've grown up in environments where there has been a lot of criticism, we will tend to think negatively about ourselves. And that's not useful. Like, we have to accept ourselves as we are. And that doesn't mean that we can't change, but it does mean that we have work to do. So, so here's a little task for you. So pick up something pleasant, like something that you like a special cup. Maybe you've got a special cup with your name on it, or a special cup with a greeting that somebody put on and gave to you. Uh, uh, Explore it and understand how holding that, how liking that, how admiring that feels. Pay attention to it. Then do the same thing with something that's neutral for you, something that doesn't matter, like he says, like a piece of beige carpet, and accept it. Okay, you are what you are. Uh, Pay attention to how that feels, and then pick up something that's mildly unpleasant, like maybe you're listening to something or uh, that you don't like, or maybe you've got a, a sock that you don't like, or a cup that you don't like. Pick it up and pay attention to how that feels. And by doing that, you start to understand how to manage those feelings, how to pay attention to that stuff. Uh, know what acceptance feels like. Your body could relax, breathing could ease. There could be thoughts as, it's just the way it is, I don't like it, but I can accept it. There could be perspective about the big picture and the many causes of whatever it is that you're accepting. It might help to imagine friends or others who are with you and supporting you as you face what you're accepting. Be aware of the difference between a feeling of acceptance, which usually has a calming peacefulness to it, like it makes us feel safe, it makes us feel okay, and a feeling of helplessness or defeat, which often comes with a sense of frustration, hopelessness, weariness, and a depressed mood. One of the books that I read a while ago was called No Self, No Problem by Adam Thubten. I might have talked about this before, but it's about a fellow that's going to a monastery to learn how to meditate, and he's all excited about this, and he's in the first session, and the master's there, and he's sitting on his cushion and he's meditating, and when the session's over, he's all excited about going to talk to the master about his experience, and the master looks at him and says, tell me about tying your shoes in the morning. And the guy didn't want to talk about tying his shoes. He wanted to talk about what he was thinking about. And so he was quite disturbed because he really had no idea what happened when he tied his shoes. And he didn't really understand what was going on. And so the next morning, he paid exquisite attention to tying his shoes, how the, the laces felt and how the knots worked together and how the tension on his foot felt, all of that stuff. And so after a session that day, he went back to speak to the master, and the master said, tell me about washing your face this morning. And the guy realized that he wasn't paying attention to what he was doing. And there's huge freedom in being able uh, to focus on what you're doing. So, uh, so like pick a positive characteristic about yourself, such as a skill or a good intention or a warm feeling, and explore what you like about yourself. Explore how that feels to accept that, and then pick a neutral characteristic, such as, just whatever, like that you're breathing, and accept that. And then pick something that you don't like about yourself that's mildly negative, and start to explore accepting that. And that's really important. We've talked about that a few times, that when we fight something, when there's something about ourselves that we don't like, whether it's I chew my fingernails, or I smoke, or I do this, or I do that, whatever it is that you don't like about yourself, if you fight that, you're creating stress. We talked about that last week. We had that little cartoon uh, with the two wolves, and the more you fight the negative, the stronger it gets. And so by accepting it, by welcoming it in, by thanking it for being there, it starts to lose its power. And and that starts to give you that power back, where you're in control of things. And so, like, that's a shot out of the front of my house from a couple of days ago. And there's incredible beauty there. And I'm part of what I spend time on every day is paying attention uh, to big picture beauty, but also paying attention to little things like how does this feel and how does that feel, and focusing on what I'm doing, whether it's raking leaves or picking up garbage or fixing something. If I just focus on that, if I just pay attention to that, then uh, a whole bunch of things happen. I relax because I'm not trying to do six things at once. We've talked a little bit about multitasking, and it seems like a cool thing to do, but it really divides our attention and our energies. And I believe that it takes away from the benefits of paying attention. And paying attention is minding your mind. So have a good weekend. Uh, Focus on what you like, experience how that feels, and you'll exercise that acceptance muscle. Take care. I got to stop this, and I'm back, but leaving again. So have a good day, people. Take care of yourselves.